Now on Outside the Lines, first report.
It can't always go your way. I know that. I've won many times, when I didn't expect myself to win. So tonight's one of those nights where you're a little bit disappointed.
Why it might be a good thing for tennis to have arguably the best player in history not playing in the Australian Open final. Why won't the Patriots admit Tom Brady is hurt? Why he's still a no-show at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, and why his teammates are joking about it. And in our centerpiece, what would you do to save high school sports in your town? What if you were 75?
The little athletic department didn't have very much money at all, and they needed things. I thought, well, I'll just collect cans. I could do that.
Turning a litany of litter into basketball survival. Now on Outside the Lines.
And now, sitting in for Bob Lee, Steve Bunin.
I've created a monster that I need to win every tournament. Those are the words of Roger Federer, whose monstrous and historic Grand Slam run came to a shocking end today in Melbourne. Federer had reached the final in a record 10 straight majors before today. By comparison, the most Pete Sampras ever made in a row was 3. Andre Agassi, 4. Federer, 10. But it won't be 11. A muggy night for his Australian Open semifinal against the 20-year-old Serbian sensation Novak Djokovic in the far court. Federer's got serious game, goes up a break. But Djokovic would break back and now sets himself up with set point in the near court. One of 32 unforced errors by Federer. Second set. Djokovic moves so well for a big guy, and when you can go around the post, it is your night. Djokovic, 50 winners to just 38 for Roger. Took the second set 6-3. Third set, Federer up 6-5. But again, the court coverage by Djokovic so key in Melbourne Park. Djokovic said, "I'm amazed I coped with the pressure today. In the most important moments, I played my best tennis." Djokovic upsetting Federer in straight sets, 7-5 in the third, advancing to his second Grand Slam final, ending Roger's run down under.
I'll definitely reflect on what happened, considering, my illness, I'm sort of happy with the result here, Of course, I've created a monster, so I know I need to always win every tournament, but semis is still, pretty good, but yeah, I'll analyze and see if I have to make changes for next year, but honestly, I think I did play pretty good, I didn't play my best throughout the championships, but it was pretty solid, so it was okay.
So who is Novak Djokovic? Well, he's already a fan favorite for his impersonations of other tennis greats like Nadal, Maria Sharapova, but he made his name last summer. At Wimbledon, he beat Leighton Hewitt, Marcos Baghdatis in marathon matches before withdrawing in the semis with an injury. A month later, at Montreal, he became the first player to beat the world's top 3 in 3 straight days since Boris Becker in '94, Andy Roddick, Nadal in straight sets, and then Federer 7-6, 2-6, 7-6 in the final, establishing himself as a true tennis power. He's now solidified himself as the 3rd best player in the world, and maybe with this win, should be mentioned as one of the top 2. Sampras goes down in straight sets in a slam for the first time since the 3rd round of the 2004 French Open. ESPN tennis analyst and former French Open mixed doubles champion Mary Carillo joins us now live from Melbourne. Mary, is it good or bad for tennis that Federer is out?
It's both. I mean, we all expected Roger Federer to be chasing history this year, beating Pete Sampras's, all-time Grand Slam record, and we figured that he would start it here because he has been the best fast court player in the world, Steve, for the last couple of years. He's won this thing 3 times. He's won Wimbledon 5 straight times. He's won the U.S. Open 4 times. So the only thing that's been tripping him up of late is trying to beat, Rafa Nadal on clay at the French Open. So it's a big surprise, and it kind of changes things a little bit because until this point, there was an inevitability to the fact that Federer was going to catch Sampras this year. and beat his all-time record of 14 majors. Now all of a sudden that's up in the air. We thought he was only chasing ghosts, guys who would stop playing, like Pete Sampras, like Roy Emerson, like Rod Laver. He was going up against a black and white past. Now he's got a couple of really strong guys, in particular Novak Djokovic, who really think that they deserve to be on the court with him. And Djokovic is the real deal. You talked about how he's been doing imitations. He's very cocky. He's been cocky a long time. Now he's got every reason to be very, very confident as well.
He's won 2 of the last 3 times he's played against Federer, and Roger's 6 and 8 against Nadal. If Federer is Sampras, who's his Agassi?
Well, he's got, again, I would say Nadal in the main. I mean, those two have been number 1 and number 2 in the world for years now. I mean, Rafa Nadal has been the number 2 player in the world, having won 3 majors. He's never been to number 1 yet. Now things are a little bit different because Rafa lost here in very convincing fashion to a guy from France, you know, Jo-Wilfried Tsonga, who absolutely, summarily, comprehensively beat him in the semifinal. He's never been a great fast court player yet, except on grass. He's a much better grass court player than a hard court player. So now you've got these guys, you know, Janko Tipsarevic, another Serb, in the 3rd round, took Roger Federer to 5 sets. I mean, you have to sort of give him an assist for helping his fellow Serb beat him last night. What Novak Djokovic has done at this tournament that he hasn't been able to do in the past, you know, is win his early rounds so convincingly that he had plenty of energy, plenty of focus, you know, plenty of fortitude to go up against Federer. And that has been an absolute key to Djokovic. We have seen him retire in Grand Slam matches. We've seen him pull up lame. At the U.S. Open final against Federer, you know, he didn't grab that first set when he could have. He didn't grab the second set. He went down pretty meekly after that. He had the energy. He had the focus, and we kept waiting for Roger Federer last night to kick it in. He usually has so many gears. He can kick it into 5th. He can downshift. He can change things around. We kept waiting for that to happen. It didn't happen with him, and so now you wake up this morning in the papers in Melbourne, you know, the king is dead, Roger and out. I mean, I think we're getting a little out of hand there, but the fact is that there are guys around Roger Federer, not just Rafa Nadal, who really think they can beat him.
That's sort of what we saw in the early 80s with Wielander, Lendl, Edberg, and Becker et al. Mary Carillo, we appreciate the insight, and we'll see you on ESPN2 tonight.
All right, Steve.
Our poll question to you, is Roger Federer's loss in Melbourne good or bad for tennis? Log on to ESPN.com and vote. You can also send us your emails, put those on the air if they're good enough and clean enough. And as for Roger Federer, vote in our poll question. Very curious to get your thoughts about this. Is tennis better off without its best player in the final? For all the hubbub, hype, and hysteria about Tom Brady's appearance with and without a walking boot this week, his absence at Patriots practice yesterday is news. The Patriots quarterback has said he will play in Super Bowl 42, but he didn't speak with the media at Gillette Stadium. Coach Bill Belichick was predictably terse and tight-lipped yesterday, but the apparent Machiavellian must have some sense of humor. Here's what he allowed Brady's teammates to say today.
Well, Bill actually brought me in his office earlier this morning and asked me if I wanted to move the quarterback, and we're going to put in a whole new offense. You know, we got the option going, so Tom's gonna go ahead and let me take the reins for this game.
Well, actually, I thought you know, Coach pulled me in the office and told me I was going to be a quarterback. So I don't know where he's hearing that from. I think he kind of overheard our conversation, and that's actually going to be my role.
The guys are talking tongue-in-cheek. Dave Hirschkel covers the Patriots for the Hartford Courant and was at that news conference. Dave, I didn't hear any of the media laughing. What was the sense at practice today?
Well, as you said, you know, Tom Brady wasn't present for the media portion of the practice, which is the beginning 10 or 15 minutes, which doesn't necessarily mean he didn't practice. It's just he wasn't there when the doors were open to the media. And so everyone's sort of being held, I guess, in suspense, wondering, you know, whether or not he's going to practice. And it's just really just a situation of Bill Belichick, you know, being consistent of when it comes to injuries and not disclosing anything. And as far as, you know, Dante Stallworth and Wes Welker saying what they're saying, I mean, I think it's a good sign that the players are actually joking about it. I don't think they would be making jokes about it if Tom was seriously hurt, and as well as if they didn't have the blessing of their coach.
Given how well he's played over the last 5 years. When you talk to people within the team, how much practice does he really need?
No, I mean, there's 2 weeks, and, I mean, obviously the reason he's not practicing it because he is hurt. We just don't know how serious it is. But I think, once they get out there and, in the warm weather, it'd probably be more conducive to him to practice. And I don't think there's a lot of worry out there. I really don't. I think in some ways it sort of works to their advantage by not having him practice because it kind of causes the Giants to sort of, look or waste a few hours going over film on Matt Castle. Not that he's going to play, but, they're going to spend 98% of the time studying Tom Brady and 2% on Matt Castle, which, is probably 2% less they would have, or 2% more that they would have spent on Tom Brady.
2 weeks until the Super Bowl. Dave Hershko, we appreciate you joining us on Outside the Lines. Enjoy the game in Phoenix.
My pleasure.
Coming up on Outside the Lines, we'll go one-on-one with the college basketball coach who is doing away with his shoes to send 200,000 shoes to Africa. And Kevin Garnett faces his former team for the first time. Why KG couldn't care less. This hour on Outside the Lines, Tim Tebow's name has reportedly surfaced in Florida's recruiting investigation of football coach Urban Meyer. According to the Sacramento Bee, Tebow spoke with a recruit the same night he won the Heisman Trophy. Then Meyer initiated the call, which would violate NCAA rules. Kevin Garnett faces his old team tonight for the first time in a regular season game since the summer trade from Minnesota to Boston. A 10-time All-Star and the 04 MVP in 12 seasons with the Timberwolves, Garnett remains the team's franchise leader in games, points, boards, assists, steals, and blocks, as he's taking it like one more game. 5 players, 2 first-rounders, and cash. That was the price for KG. Been worth it for the Celtics, who boast the best D and the best record in the league despite losing 4 of 8. Even with wins this week against Golden State and Phoenix, the Timberwolves still have the worst record in the NBA. Originally expected to miss all of 2008, former Wisconsin cornerback Jack Ikaguanu, screwed up the first name, might be healthy enough to play by the end of the upcoming NFL season after all. One of the top cornerbacks in the draft, he declared after his junior year but tore his ACL training earlier this week. And last night, IUPUI coach Ron Hunter coached barefoot against Oakland University to raise awareness for needy children. He'll be sending 110,000 pairs of shoes to Africa, in part in honor of the 40th anniversary of the death of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and his Jaguars did win the game 82-69. We are now joined by Coach Ron Hunter on Outside the Lines. Coach, you have personally attracted about $20,000 and, as we mentioned, 110,000 pairs of shoes. What inspired you to choose shoes as the cause?
Well, what I wanted to make sure is that when this was brought to me, 300 children in this world, or 300 million children, excuse me, in this world wake up every single day without shoes. And having children of my own, and I just could not believe that we lived in a society today that happened. I was in Africa 4 years ago, and I actually saw that, and it was just amazing to see the number of people that didn't have shoes. So when this was brought to my attention through Samaritan's Feet, and they asked what we could do, I thought this would be a great idea just to bring awareness to it. So I used the number 40,000 because it's the 40th anniversary of Martin Luther King's death. There's absolutely no way in the world that I would be the coach of IUPUI or any school if it wasn't for the sacrifices that he made. So I thought in a little way what we could do, let's see if we could raise 40,000 shoes. Before we even tipped it off yesterday, we had 110,000 shoes from all kind of places, from Converse, what they did yesterday, and 15,000. We had 15,000 shoes from Homeland Security. It was just absolutely amazing how the people in the community of Indianapolis and this country really helped out, and really it's continued to grow. I've heard something that we're almost close to about 200,000 shoes. What's great about this is that not only that I took my shoes off to bring awareness to this, I'm hoping that the NCAA will allow my team, and I'm personally going to Africa in July to deliver the shoes to these children. So there are going to be a lot of children that they're going to have a lot of hope this summer.
And when you deliver those shoes to those children, what will you say?
Well, you know, again, we just want to deliver to. It's not about what we'll say. We just want to let them know that there are people that care about them, that there is some hope, that they don't have to, you know, walk around and have diseases and those things on their feet. That, again, it's just inspiring just a little hope. Today, they don't know this is going to happen. They, you know, again, if their life is very bad, but in a couple months when we make this trip, again, you know, the whole deal about this wasn't about winning a game or publicity. It was about making sure that some child would have a better life. And so hopefully we'll be able to do that. I know that right now 150,000 children will be helped by this.
Ron Hunter of IUPUI, congratulations on what you're doing both on the court and off.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Next on our centerpiece, another man who's blended his love for sports with a heart of gold.
I knew he was collecting cans, but I didn't realize how much he was collecting. I don't think we could ever really thank him as much as we should.
Saving high school sports, one can at a time. Next on Outside the Lines. A bake sale, a car wash. Across America, kids and their parents will try almost anything to raise money for their school's sports programs. Alongside one of the Great Lakes, in a tiny town where resources are short, the air is frigid, but work ethic is strong, one man has single-handedly transformed the fortunes of the local high school's basketball teams. As Chris Connolly reports, in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, a stone skip from the Canadian border, real change can happen, one dime at a time. Chris Connolly reporting. Crystal and Austin are seniors who will be leaving Paradise to attend college next season. They say what John Dreves has given gives them self-confidence to adjust to a new environment and gives them the inspiration to help others the same way he has helped them. Coming up on ESPN, NFL Live with Trey Wingo and the gang, both Super Bowl teams boasting big and big-time receivers. What the Pats and Giants will do defensively to hold Moss and Burris in check.
Does size matter?
We want to thank the thousands of you who went online and voted in our poll. And how about the results? 3/4 of you say Roger Federer's loss is good for tennis. The Australian Open Women's Final is tonight on ESPN2. Buick Invitational near San Diego, the same course that'll be hosting the U.S. Open this summer. It's both Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson's first event this season, and Tiger is on top, 5 under today, a 3-stroke lead on the field. Time for Outside Opinion, getting your thoughts on Tiger's response to the comments on the Golf Channel and the cover of Golf Week magazine. Patrick in California writing, Tiger being neutral while being center stage on this is just as sad and disturbing as the actual Golf Week cover itself. From New Orleans, Chris says Tiger is not required to fight for everyone else's cause. If he feels comfortable about a situation, that should be the end of it. And from Texas, Guy asking, doesn't neutrality indicate patience, tolerance, and understanding? Tiger should be applauded for not overreacting and choosing forgiveness over confrontation. Quick NFL news, Brett Favre is skipping the Pro Bowl. The 38-year-old Packers quarterback hasn't stated publicly why he's passing up the trip to Hawaii, but he's not injured. He'll be replaced by Tampa Bay's Jeff Garcia, who's making his 4th appearance. That wraps it up for us here at Outside the Lines First Report. I'm Steve Bunin. Next SportsCenter comes up at 6 o'clock Eastern. Next Outside the Lines, Sunday, 9:30 in the morning Eastern with Bob Lee. Have a good night.